Hello, I'm Joel Blackford with Beth Hesed Sabbath Fellowship. Thank you for joining us. We're virtual only, based out of St. Paul, Minnesota. The phone number works if you'd like to contact us. We do the thought behind the thought, the philosophy of eschatology, what you need to know, your reality or existence. We take more risks than the other guys, okay? It's not just news. Haller does the best job on news, and I talked to John Haller earlier today, and he said the news cycle is now 2 days, and you have old news, and you might as well not even present it anymore. Things change that fast. So this is a special Tuesday night session. So this is April 8th, and it's supposed to be the rapture day, according to a friend named Heather Rivard. I don't think she got raptured today. But we're going to solve a piece of revelation that is really kind of annoying, and it's the sixth seal and the timing and things like that. And we had thought that we were going into a grand solar minimum, so that would delay things by up to a decade. Well, no, we're going into a maximum. So the 11th slide in this process that you see will explain that to you. And so just keep that in mind. We have a new scientific study from Ben Davidson that proves that we're probably going in sooner than we expect. So what would occur with the maximum is that Earth's grids will go down for at least a decade, if not up to 50 years. Yeah, that's how bad this news is. So we'll give you some background information and then get to that slide. That's the 11th slide. So this is Ben, and he's telling you again, hide in the cave up high in the mountains because it's going to be ugly. I feel sorry for him, too. Pray for Ben Davidson. His family broke up lately. So at some point, Earth's weakening magnetic field will weaken so much that the planet will not be able to sustain even a moderate disruption in the solar wind. When that occurs, the grids will go down and there will be no more power as the sun continually ramps up toward the micronova or just flares. And as the Earth's magnetic field continues to weaken, cosmic radiation will bombard the planet. It's already doing so more and more. At some point, the solar system will enter the point where the galactic magnetic reversal occurs. The sun will go dark for 3 days, followed by a solar micronova, and the planet will go and a little twist. Okay, that's Ben. So, yes, it's starting to occur. He called it a planetary playoffs, then cosmic Super Bowl, extreme weather, extreme shifts, oceanic tsunamis. Yes, the slosh effect. Inundations, volcanoes, economic worries, job issues, no power, mental health issues. Yes, health and electrical issues, so heart attacks, things like that. This is when he did a show with, I don't know, it's Flyover Conservatives. I don't like David as much because he'll put on people like Robin D. Bullock, in addition to Ben, who I love. And Ben's part of our team, okay? But Robin is not. He's on the other side. So what are we doing? We're giving you a special Tuesday night session about the sixth seal. We're trying to give you the Bible, give you prophecy, give you the updated news that's very, very important. So what I've been noticing is this solar max or minimum talk. And we wondered, okay, we're coming out of a maximum. We're going into a long minimum, maybe a Maunder minimum. Look at that red section there on the right-hand side, lower right, Maunder minimum, or the Dalton minimum. One of those. Well, it looks like we were in a minimum in solar cycle 24 that we just didn't anticipate. And so we're in a maximum right now. We're going up into the maximum even more. So solar maximum and minimum represent two extremes in the sun's 11-year cycle of activity, with solar maximum being the period of least, or solar minimum being the period of least activity, and solar maximum the period of greatest activity, marked by increased sunspots and solar flares. But keep in mind, as you come out of maximum, you could have even worse flares during that time frame. Not just more flares, but then suddenly these big sudden flares, okay? So there's minimum and maximum, and we were thinking that we were going into minimum or going into maximum, people. Okay, so the news is that there is of course, there's the 11-year solar cycle, but there's also these 100-year cycles. I broke them into 50s to be like jubilees. Okay, it's biblical then. Okay, and so we go through these Gleisberg cycles, 100 years, where we go into the minimums then. Well, it looks like we hit it already. We went into that minimum. It was a short minimum, but we went in. So expect our electrical grids to crash for a decade or up to 50 years under heavy solar bombardment and a thinning magnetosphere. So once again, the centennial Gleisberg cycle. So you've heard of the 11-year sunspot cycle, but what about the centennial Gleisberg cycle? The Gleisberg cycle is a slow modulation of the solar cycle, which suppresses sunspot numbers every 80 to 100 years. It may have been responsible for the remarkable weakness of solar cycle 24 from 2013 or 2012-2013. New research published in the Journal of Space Weather suggests that the minimum of the Gleisberg cycle is just passed. That's news to us, okay? If so, solar cycles for the next 50 years could be increasingly intense. So this is from the Watchman's Earth and Space Connection. It's not Ben, but it is a nice source, an intelligent source. So, are we crossing a minimum of the Gleisberg centennial cycle? A multivariate machine learning based prediction of the sunspot number using different proxies of solar activity and spectral analysis. This is from Elsevier, and they're respected, okay? And this is fairly recent. This is from 2024. And so they were predicting, so let's just drop it to the lower right-hand side where I pick up with these results imply, on the one hand, a maximum of solar cycle 25 below average, and on the other hand, a lower peak than the preceding ones for solar cycle 26, suggesting that we're currently crossing a minimum of the centennial Gleisberg cycle. Well, this article is totally wrong now. Ben and the other sources have said, no, we were in the minimum, or we're going into the maximum. So that minimum really occurred in 2012, 2013. So throw away this article. It happens, but that's the problem with our news cycle right now. Things are faster. While we're currently in solar cycle maximum of solar cycle 25, which peaked in 24-25, the next grand solar minimum is predicted to occur around 2030, 2040. Okay, it was, but that's science. Now we're looking at the Bible. The Bible tells us they will never again be 1, hungry. They will never again be 2, thirsty. Number 3 is the sun will not beat down. No, it's fall on them, nor will any burning heat. Number 4. That's Revelation 7:16. And also we see during the bowls, Revelation 16:8-9, and I'll read that later on. You will see horrible heat. So basically, the grand solar minimum update failed, okay? So what they thought was going to occur, where it would just continue on down and we'd go into one of those troughs, no, we're going to explode into one of the worst time frames ever in the history of the world. And it's going to be like that picture on the lower right-hand side where you're going to be scorched by the sun. So all of these things are going to happen faster now. I thought there could be a 5 to 10 year delay. That's why I've been kind of hedging my bets, saying, well, it makes sense to go in 2025 or 2026, but, we could still have a delay based on the minimum. Well, we're going maximum. So the verses that I cite for the blazing fire that we're going to be going through probably sooner now is Isaiah 66:15-16. For look, Adonai will come in fire, and his chariots will be like the whirlwind, to render his anger furiously, his rebuke with blazing fire. For Adonai will judge all humanity with fire and with the sword, and those slain by Adonai will be many. That's Isaiah 66. And then on the other side, this is Revelation 16:8-9. The fourth one poured out its bowl on the sun, and it was permitted to burn people with fire. People were burned by the intense heat. Yet they cursed the name of God. So I'm telling you, that can happen faster now. So we're going to go into an extreme maximum, which sounds like Revelation 16:8-9. And these plagues are going to be, hopefully we'll be repenting. But anyway, so they had predicted us a minimum, and you can see that chart on the lower left-hand side, thinking, well, we're going to go into the minimum, and we'll just stay there for a long period of time, through 2038, maybe 2042. No. It'll be exactly the opposite. So, oh boy. Okay, so here's the article. Okay, so this is AGU, Advancing Earth's and Space Sciences, predicting that the Gleisberg cycle has already occurred. We already went through it. So this is a respected source, space weather source, but they're saying as of the 2nd of March of 2025, we have passed through the minimum. We are going into the maximum, and it's going to spike just off the charts. Okay, so solar maximum is coming, and that means the hole that you see in the lower right-hand side with that area called the South Atlantic anomaly, that is going to get worse because the particles, the protons, photons are going to be hitting our ozone layer and depleting it even more. So you will see much worse problems. So grand solar minimum, no, not for you. No soup for you. It'll be grand solar maximum, and get ready for it. And that means we I don't know if it'll take off right away. I think we'll go through more of the point going down, and then probably 2026, 2027, we'll start to go into more of the maximum. Okay. Okay, but you'll notice some weird things in 2025 with storms and lightning and winds and other things like that. So once again, the Gleisberg centennial cycle refers to the long-term 90 to 100-year variation in the amplitude of the 11-year sunspot cycle, characterized by periods of deep solar activity minima, such as the Dalton minimum, which I mentioned from 1810 to 1830, and the Maunder from 1645 to 1715. Okay, but Ben is mentioning on the right-hand side, but here are the world's experts now saying it too. Good chance the grand solar minimum is not happening. We're seeing extreme ultraviolet and radio wave signals that say the Gleisberg centennial minimum has passed. That was the end of the last solar cycle. That would have been would be all of the drop we would be getting. Oh, okay, all right. So the drop has occurred. Yep. If that's the case, a very minor minimum is not a grand minimum. So that's Ben Davidson speaking. So he was, predicting the official prediction you can see through 2028, 2029 dropping off. No, we'll probably just go right on up fast and be nasty. Okay. So solar cycle 24 was probably that minimum, and 25 is kind of more of a maximum, and then 26 is going to be nasty. Okay. So once again, there's 22, 23, 24. That's 25, which was up, but 26 will be even greater than that. And that will be the time when we get scorched and burned and things like that. It'll be biblical, okay? It will be. So that was probably our 100-year minimum right there around 2012, 2013. And now we're in the max, and it's going to only go up. Okay, so is 2025 the end? No. But things will get really ugly by 2029 and 2032. So, this maximum declination will get worse. While solar flares are more frequent during the solar maximum, larger and more intense flares, along with geomagnetic storms, can also occur in the declining phase after solar maximum. So we're in the declining phase of that cycle, and that means that you're going to notice some nasty weather. Storms and winds, and you'll see planes knocked out of the sky and wings ripped off and things like that. So be very careful. And the astronauts, I would not want to be flying over the poles during a solar storm coming up. Okay. So how to survive if the power grid goes down, you're going to have to think about that. If you're in Arizona, you won't survive when the temperatures get to 125 and there's no air conditioning. It's not a healthy situation to be in. You'd have to run up to Flagstaff and survive up there. You're not going to survive in Phoenix and some of the other places. So 250 million Americans could die if the power grid goes down. Yes, absolutely. You will see the deaths that the Deagle people talked about. So Ben, getting back to Ben on the right-hand side, grid down 2025. Not yet, but eventually here. While that means the worst of the climatological chaos could wait, it's bad news for our electrified society. With the Earth's magnetic field weakening, many of us were counting on a grand solar minimum to allow Earth's grids to stay up another cycle. He's got kids too. Looking less likely, if this forecast is correct, if the next solar cycle is stronger, and it will be, than this one. I'm already putting our chances of skating through solar cycle 26 at less than 50%. Yeah, he thinks that it's just going to be hell on earth. Okay, so solar cycle 26 is predicted to begin around 2030, reach its peak between 2035 and 2036, the last until around 2040. So it's going up. Okay, all you need is a flare or a CME that's large or a micronova, and you're going to have horrible things happen, like the sixth seal on the Earth. Keep in mind that 8 minutes after the flash of light, you will know the size of this micronova or solar flare or whatever it happens to be. Then about 18 to 72 hours later, you'll feel the protons on Earth. It takes a while to get here. And so a big storm that we're expecting in the sixth seal would be about 18 hours, maybe 16, because it could be that powerful. Okay? each blast will shake our crust loose. So it all happens that way. It's a process of something kicks off from the sun, a flare, a CME, a micronova. Then you'll see the auroras, and as the protons hit, not as the photons hit, maybe if it's big enough, and then more lightning storms and things like that, more earthquakes. The anomalies will open up even more. The windows of heaven will open. I'll read that to you. And then the pole shift eventually. These are biblical signs, and now they seem to be online. So the main thing is we've already gone through one blood moon eclipse. There's a second one coming September 7th of 2025. 7th and the 8th. And so if you see the sun changing colors from yellow to white to red to black, you're going to have to go out on the ground, or your feelings will melt your head apart, and your brains will just hurt, and your body will feel so much pain from the proton surge. So we're still on this potentially in terms of this is Thomas Horn's timeline, but it's actually possible. I mean, it could still be a year or two off, but it's possible. He's saying a pole flip or actually Ben is saying a pole flip acceleration 2028, 2029. Apophis will show up in 2029. Then potentially, if things kick off in 2025, you would have the 7 bowls poured out in 2029 to 2032. It actually works out with solar cycles now. It actually makes sense. Okay, so this is Tom Horn again. It's possible. It is possible. Either way, there will be grids down by the time you get into the bowls, okay, if not before. We'll probably go through a short time frame during the 6th seal of the grids being down for probably 60 to 90 days, okay? So Ben had been predicting this for the 2040s. No, it's collapsing down faster, okay? So this is what the 6th seal sounds like. So just so you can continuously hear this and understand the physics of it. Then I watched as he broke the 6th seal, and there was a great earthquake. That's probably a micronova, but at least it's a large flare. It would unlock the crust. The mantle would break free. The sun would turn black as it's not an eclipse. It's the final stage of some kind of a solar micronova flare CME. And the final stage of that as sackcloth, okay? It's in the Greek, it's sakos trichonos, which would be layered like goat's shiny mohair or angora over the sun, worn in mourning. And so Ben was talking about 3 days of darkness, and that does match up. And the full moon became blood red. So that is a standard thing. We've seen the blood moon all the time, and we know that means it's an eclipse, and that's a sign from God, okay, per Genesis 1:14. So the next one is due Elul, which would be Elul 14, September 7th of 2025. The stars would fall from the heaven to the earth because that would be dust, a micronova dust accumulation event. Just as a fig tree drops its sometime, probably winter timing figs, when shaken by a strong wind. So that's Revelation 6:12 through 13, complete Jewish Bible. The sky receded like a little scroll. It's a Megillah. It's not worldwide, but you'll see these openings like the South Atlantic anomaly being rolled up, and every mountain and island was moved. Not far, but they'll be moved, okay, from its place. Then the earth's kings, rulers, the generals, the rich, the mighty, indeed everyone, slave and free, they'll all know, okay, hid themselves in caves and among the rocks and the mountains. When this occurs, everyone will know about it. Okay, that's Revelation 6:14 and 15. Then they've been predicting it, all these horrible globalists, and said to the mountains and rocks and bunkers, fall on us and hide us from the face of the one sitting on the throne and from the fury, that's orge in the Greek, of the Lamb, which is proof that the rich and the poor will be aware of the 6th seal, for the great day of their fury has come, and who can stand? So that's Revelation 6:16 through 17 to end out the 6th seal. Combining with the fact then after that, sometime after that, you will see the poles shift even more. They'll wobble, and we're wobbling right now, but it's going to wobble worse, and then you'll have a pole flip. And this is biblical, people, and now it seems to be on pace. Oh, how the traitors betray and betray. Terror, pit, and trap are upon you, you who are living on earth. He who flees at the sound of terror will fall into the pit. He who climbs up out of the pit will be caught in the trap for the windows. Arubah H699, floodgates, lattice, sluice. It's like a dam. You can open and close those. God can do so with our windows of heaven, which is our ozone layer, our magnetosphere. Above have been opened, and the earth's foundations shake. That's what happens. The earth cracks and breaks open. The earth crumbles to pieces. The earth trembles and totters. The earth staggers to and fro like a drunk. sways back and forth like a watchman's shelter. Its transgression weighs heavy upon it. It will fall and not rise again. That is expected afterward. So you need the sixth seal first, then you'll get to this within 4 or 5 years. Okay? These these windows of heaven, these holes, these what is this called again? The South Atlantic anomalies. These anomalies are going to pop up and move. Okay, and keep in mind, if you're raising chickens, you need infrared light for them. All this UV caused by this will cause the chickens to not lay many eggs, if at all. Where I live is the 45th parallel north. I'll end up at the 45th parallel south. That sounds like the earth staggers to and fro like a drunk. It will wobble, and I'll end up down south. Okay, you can see where Minnesota is on the map there. That's where I'll end up, 45th parallel south. From 45th parallel north, Iceland and Greenland are going to be in the perfect position. It's going to be interesting to watch that occur. And northern Canada and Alaska will be right on the equator. But northern Canada is going to be amazing, so I'll just go up there. So what else is going on? At some point in time then, with all of this solar bombardment, you'll notice that we'll lose all of our grids, we'll lose many of our electrical devices, and we will have nukes because they'll be underground, and we'll also have horses and swords and breastplates and shields and things like that. Okay? So this is Ezekiel 38. You'll have the Gog war will be nukes and horses against Israel and God. The word of Adonai came to me, human being, turn your face toward Gog in the land of Magog, chief prince, it doesn't mean Russia, it just means Rosh, of Meshech and Tuval, and prophesy against him, say that Adonai Elohim says, I am against you, Gog, chief prince of Meshech and Tuval. I will turn you around, put hooks in your jaw, and bring you out with all your army, horses, horsemen, all completely equipped, a great horde with breastplates and shields, all wielding swords, because we will go through a World War III during that time frame with Gog, but up until that time, we will have so many solar photon bombardments that we will lose out on our technology and we'll be Stone Age. Okay, so grids down. Now we'll probably go grids down during the sixth seal, then for about 60 to 90 days, then back up again for a period of time. Then you'll get more bombardment as we head into the bowls. So you'll have other issues, environmental issues, as you move into those time frames. So we're in the birth pangs. We're probably going into the tribulation at some point sooner than expected. We'll go into the Great Tribulation at some point in time. I believe that we're just waiting on the sixth seal, and it could potentially occur this fall. So we'll see. We'll see. And so you need to get ready right now. You need to get ready for the wedding. You need to work on you and your loved ones. Some wedding, sometime, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot of a future year. You need clean garments. You can't be naked. You'll be tossed out if you're not in the right garments that are clean. You can't be naked for a wedding. So get ready for that. Be blessed. Thank you very much for your time. We'll talk to you again soon. Hopefully Sunday. God bless. Bye-bye.